it's Claire and welcome back to my studio here in Irene. It's a bit of a chilly morning, so it's not my favorite time of year. Maybe it's nice and productive for you in the cooler weather. For me, it's one of those I really battle to get going. So I thought we'd talk about something nice today. The Capri. It is our second sit-down machine after the Sweet 16. And this is a really beautiful machine. So we've not really ever discussed too much about it, so I thought today would be a good opportunity just to give you a few more facts about it, some recommendations and the things that I really like about this machine. Those of you that know me well know that I'm more of a machine user on a frame. I use the movable machines more than the stationary machines. But I do like to quilt on them. I just don't often get the time. So I've had Sweet 16 in the past, and when the Capri came in last year, or yeah, the beginning of last year, just before lockdown, I had one, and over time I've used it, and I must say I really like this machine. It has so many nice features on it, and it just seems to work so smoothly, so beautifully. The quilts that are here are ones that I have quilted on this machine. So this is a panel from Aggie Murphy from Lavender Farm. I'll put up a link. She prints in South Africa digital patterns, digitally printed patterns on fabric, and they're excellent for practicing. So this is all done with the Capri. I was trying some ruler work and different patterns with it when I first got it. It's a really nice way to practice. And the one underneath is another, this is a panel from Amafu. It sort of shines a bit on the lights. Let's see if I can put it up like this. It's a panel from Amafu, also South African fabrics, beautiful. I'm busy with a mandala pattern on it, but yeah, time is kind of limited in my life, so it's not progressing as quickly as I would like it to. So what do I really like about this machine? Well, first off, the table is excellent. It's so nice. It's called the Insight table, and there's a number of things about it that I really like. One, it's height adjustable, but not only sitting height adjustable, you can adjust it high enough that you can even stand and quilt at this machine. So if you're not able to sit for long periods of time, you can adjust it that the legs are just put up so that it's at a height that you can stand comfortably at and quilt. So that's the number one benefit. Number two, it has a beautiful shiny surface to it. So in the past with the Sweet 16s, we used to have an insert that went over the top, a table overlay, to make a smoother surface. This one has it already on. Only thing is, I would say I'd be a little bit cautious with safety pins. If you're going to baste your quilt with pins, personally, I'd be a little bit nervous that it might scratch my surface here. So I would be inclined to use, let me stretch for it here, I like the 505 spray. So it's temporary. I would spray my quilt, hold the layers together, but then baste it with stitches as well to hold it all together. So another great feature of the machine is you have basting stitches on there. So it's all there, everything that you need. Okay, back to the table. It's height adjustable, it's got this beautiful surface, but it has stitch regulation built in. I'll put a little picture up in the corner so you can see better. There are two little eyes on either side of the needle area here that sense the movement of your fabric, and that then works a stitch regulator. So some of you may have had the True Stitch stitch regulator that came as an additional accessory with the Sweet 16. It's something similar, but this one is much more effective. It is an item that you have to get used to, or it's a function that you have to get used to. It does feel a little bit different, but for me, I love it when I'm doing ruler work. So I'll do you a little bit of a demonstration on that later on. Okay, so you've got a really awesome table. You've got 18 inches here of quilting space. So you can see beautifully, you can move around, and you can get extension tables or butt this up against other tables so that you can keep that bulk of your quilt from hanging over and dragging. So you just have such nice space to quilt with. It really is good. Okay, you have all sorts of other nice features on here. You have presets in terms of your speeds. You've got your stitch regulation, 2 different modes, a precision and a cruise mode, which is really great. You've got a low bobbin indicator. You have the easy set tension, so you even have numbers on your screen here to be able to help you to get the right tension. Yeah, you've got everything here that you really need. This is such a nice machine. If we look quickly as well, lighting, on the Sweet 16 you only had lighting here in the needle area. So I still have that, I can turn it on there. But the great thing with the Capri is I've got additional lighting here in the throat space. Okay, so here we are, we're in a little bit closer. I've got my gloves on, so my hands are a bit warmer in this icy weather, but they're also going to help me grip better, which I really like when I'm working on a sit-down machine. So to give you a quick rundown, I have the machine at the moment in regulated mode. It is in the cruise mode, which means when I start, the needle is going to cycle up and down. I've set it at 200 stitches per minute, 200 stitches per minute, which is a reasonably fast idling speed, but it does help to make the stitch regulator feel more smooth. I have it set to stop with the needle down, and did I tell you I'm on 11 stitches per inch. So I have 2 options. I can either put my foot on the pedal and then start to move the fabric, and remember, these little eyes that are underneath my fabric are what it's going to see the movement and then create stitches accordingly. So I need to keep my fabric taut over this area where the eyes are. So I'm going to keep my hands in that sort of normal frame kind of shape and move them in planes. I'm not going to spin my hands like this, because then that doesn't help the stitch regulator to see what's going on. So if I put my foot on the pedal, it starts to idle, but as soon as I start to move, then the stitch regulator kicks in. Okay, and you can hear it's got a different kind of sound to it. The key to working with any stitch regulator is to keep your movements as smooth as you can. If I were to do that same kind of pattern but be more jerky, let's see how it's going to go. Okay, can you hear how the machine is revving and slowing down, revving and slowing down? It correlates then into stitches that are not as even as they can be. Your machine is not a superhero. It can only operate at a certain speed. So the smoother you go for it, the better it is going to be for you. Alright, so I also have on my screen a stop-start button, like a play button, which is really great. I love it because I'm not great at keeping my foot evenly on the pedal, and you kind of forget. Alright, so if I press the button on the top here and then start to move, then my machine, I don't have to have my foot anywhere near the pedal. Some people just find it more relaxing. When you want to stop, you can put your foot on the pedal, just one dap and it stops everything, or you can move your hand up to the screen again and press that same button to stop it. Okay, so the stitch regulator helps you to get better stitches, so you are concentrating more on your pattern rather than on the length of your stitches. For me, they really come into their own when you start using rulers. Okay, as a sit-down machine quilter, the handy grip patches on the back of your rulers are really going to help you, because they're going to hold onto your fabric and help you. Remember, when you're using rulers on a sit-down machine, you have to hold your fabric, move your fabric, and hold your ruler. So that little bit of grippy on the ruler is really going to be your friend. Alright, so I have it still in that stitch regulated mode. I'm just going to put my foot down, and I have the sure foot on, which is the deeper ruler foot. And I'm just going to move as evenly as I can. If I do move a bit faster or a bit slower, it doesn't matter. as long as I go as evenly as I can. Okay, so I have one beautifully even line there. Trying to find how you can see it nicely in the camera. There you go. If I want to do one coming back, I can turn it over and again. It's so much easier than trying to do it in manual. So for me, the massive advantage to the Capri is if you do love your rulers, you've got that awesome stitch regulator. Of course, you also have manual, so it's very easy to switch into a manual mode. There's literally one button that you press. You've got different speeds. Now, if I want to fill in these areas, but I want to do it in a manual mode, I can just put my foot down and go. So let's go. So now you can hear it's a very different sound to the machine for my manual mode. So last week Talene was giving us tips on how to use both manual and stitch regulation. She was doing it on an Amara, which is a movable machine rather than a stationary machine. But the same applies to the stitch regulation on the Capri. So you can choose when you use manual and when you use the regulated. There are times when one works better than the other. And luckily, switching between them is so easy. So if you think your studio, your quilting area is short one of these beautiful Capris, then just give us a shout. You know how to get hold of us. There's Terry in the Eastern Cape. There is Yvonne in Namibia. Talene and I are up here in the Gauteng area and the rest of the country. And we have people that are willing to help you and get you going on your road to quilting pleasure. It's a really, really lovely machine and we'd like to share it with you. Hope you have a lovely day, keep warm and happy quilting.